The first thing I noticed was a lipstick. A thin, careless smudge of coral pink staining the rim of a coffee mug that wasn't mine. Too glossy, too deliberate. It sat beside Daniel's laptop, still glowing faintly with an open spreadsheet. The air smelled faintly of cedarwood and espresso, his usual, but beneath that there was something sweeter. Vanilla, artificial and heavy, like a cheap candle. I lifted the mug. It was still warm. The realization slid under my skin like ice. Daniel had left for the office an hour ago. Whoever this belonged to had been here recently. My mind began to race, rationalizations tripping over one another like frightened animals. Maybe it was one of his colleagues. Maybe he brought work home again. Maybe they needed to review something before a client meeting. Maybe. But the lipstick, that shade, coral pink, it wasn't just familiar. It was hers. Amber. Even the memory of her name scraped raw across my nerves. Amber Clark, the woman from Daniel's office who used to greet me with brittle smiles and mock my dresses behind my back. I'd caught fragments of it once, in the echo of laughter near the restroom at an office party. She tries too hard, Amber had said, voice syrupy with fake pity. It's sweet, though, like watching a puppy walk in heels. And Daniel had laughed. Not cruelly, but he'd laughed. I set the mug down carefully, as if a single wrong movement might shatter it. On me, the house was silent except for the low hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the kitchen clock. It was strange how betrayal doesn't announce itself with thunder or screams. Sometimes it's a whisper, a stain of color on porcelain. That evening, Daniel came home at his usual time, 7:45 sharp, loosened tie, weary smile. The ritual comfort of our evenings had always been the same. I'd pour him a glass of wine. We'd talk about our days, and he'd kiss my forehead as if the world outside our little house couldn't touch us. But tonight, I watched everything like an outsider, his easy gestures, the way he dropped his briefcase by the door, the faint smell of that same vanilla clinging to his jacket. "Rough day?" I asked, forcing lightness into my voice. He smiled faintly. You could say that. Back-to-back meetings. Amber nearly lost the Henderson account again, but we pulled through. Amber. The name landed like a stone in my chest. I managed a nod, eyes fixed on his hands as they loosened his tie. There, on his wrist, was a faint shimmer. Glitter. My stomach turned. You have something just there. I reached forward, brushing his skin with my thumb. The glitter caught the light, winking like a cruel secret. He glanced down, smiled sheepishly. Hey, probably from Amber's presentation. She brought those stupid brochures again, must have brushed against me. He laughed lightly, unaware, or pretending to be. I smiled too, but it didn't reach my eyes. That night, I lay awake long after Daniel's breathing settled into sleep beside me. The ceiling fan spun slow circles above, whispering accusations I couldn't silence. You're overreacting. He's loyal. He loves you. She's just a co-worker. Then why did she leave her mark on your coffee mug? At 2:47 a.m., I got out of bed and padded to his laptop downstairs. My pulse drummed in my ears as I opened it. His password, our anniversary date, still the same. Emails, dozens of them. Most were harmless. Client updates, memos. But buried between the work threads was one titled, Don't Forget Tomorrow, Winky Face, from Amber Clark. I hesitated, then clicked. You owe me lunch for today. I still can't believe you covered for me again. I'll make it up to you the usual way. Same place, same time. Hey, my breath caught. The usual way. I scrolled further. Messages over weeks, months. Inside jokes, suggestive emojis, phrases that hovered on the edge of intimate. You look good in blue today. Next time, my turn to buy dinner. Still thinking about that night after the gala. My body went cold. That night after the gala, last February. The one I couldn't attend because my mother had fallen ill. He'd gone alone. He told me it was nothing special. The realization spread to me slowly, like ink in water. I wanted to scream, to throw his laptop against the wall. But instead, I closed it gently, wiped my fingerprints from the lid, and sat in the dark until morning. In the following days, I became an actress. I smiled when he spoke, laughed at his stories, even kissed him goodnight. Every move was deliberate, careful. A part of me watched from a distance, detached and clinical, cataloging details like evidence. He started working late more often. New cologne, something lighter, citrus and musk. He began humming in the mornings, distracted but cheerful, as though carrying a secret he didn't know I already knew. I began following him, at first by car, then by silence. Tuesday evening, 8:15. He left the office building, loosened tie, that same restless smile. He crossed the street to a small cafe, the one near the park, and sat by the window. 10 minutes later, she arrived. Amber. Her blonde hair gleamed under the streetlights, perfectly curled, falling over a fitted coat. She smiled as she leaned over the table, touching his arm as though it belonged to her. I watched through the glass, heart hammering. They laughed. She brushed something from his collar. He didn't move away. When she leaned in to kiss him, just lightly, casually, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, something inside me fractured. It wasn't a scream or an explosion. It was a quiet, irreversible sound of something snapping beneath the surface. That night, I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the clock as it ticked toward midnight. My reflection in the mirror looked foreign, eyes hollow, mouth tense. I wasn't crying. I couldn't. When Daniel finally came home, he smelled faintly of wine and her perfume. He smiled, weary and distracted. "Sorry, late meeting ran long." I nodded. "Of course." Amber again. He froze for a second, so brief I might have missed it, but I didn't. "Yeah," he said carefully. "She's a handful." "I'm sure she is," I whispered. He changed quickly, climbed into bed beside me, and fell asleep within minutes. I lay there, listening to the rhythm of his breathing, the steady rise and fall of a man who believed his secrets were still safe. My heart broke in silence. The following morning, I found her social media page, Amber Clark, marketing executive. Photos from office parties, beach trips, lunches with a team. In several of them, Daniel was there, his arm around her shoulder, his smile easy, unguarded. And in one photo, taken at a wine bar 3 weeks ago, she wore my necklace. The silver one with the blue opal pendant Daniel had given me on our 5th anniversary. The caption read, "Late night brainstorms never looked this good." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. That necklace had been missing for days. He said he hadn't seen it. I felt something inside me shift, not just anger now, but clarity, cold and sharp. That evening, I invited him to dinner. Candlelight, his favorite meal, a bottle of mellow breathing on the table. I dressed carefully, soft silk, the color he once said made my eyes look like storm clouds. He looked surprised when he came home. "What's all this?" "Just us," I said, smiling. "It's been a while." He relaxed, warmth flickering in his eyes. "You're right. I've missed this." For the first time in weeks, I almost believed him. We ate. We laughed. I asked about his day, about work, about Amber. Each answer was measured, deliberate, the rhythm of lies practiced to perfection. When dessert came, I reached across the table and touched his hand. "Daniel," I said softly, "can I ask you something?" He smiled, half wary, half curious. "Of course." I looked into his eyes, steady and unblinking. "Are you sleeping with Amber Clark?" The silence that followed was absolute. Even the air seemed to stop moving. He blinked. What kind of question is that?" "Just answer me," I said. My voice was calm, frighteningly so. "Yes or no?" He stammered, searching for words. "Sarah, come on, where is this coming from?" "From the lipstick on the mug," I said quietly. "From the glitter on your wrist. From your emails. From my necklace around her neck." His face drained of color, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes, not of losing me, but of being caught. He opened his mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. "Don't," I said. "Not yet." I stood, turned away from him, and walked to the window. Outside, the world looked unchanged, quiet, indifferent. I could hear him breathing behind me, shallow and uneven. "You know what's funny?" I said softly. "She used to mock me at your office parties. I heard her once. Said I was pathetic for trying too hard. You laughed. Sarah, do you know how that felt? I turned then, tears finally spilling. To watch the man I loved defend the woman who humiliated me. To realize you didn't just let her laugh, you joined her. He looked broken. Or maybe that was an illusion I wanted to see. It wasn't like that, he whispered. It just happened. I didn't mean. I laughed bitterly. You didn't mean to? Affairs don't happen, Daniel. Lies don't happen. Choices do. The silence between us thickened until it felt suffocating. He whispered, I still love you. And something in me finally snapped. I still love you. The words hung in the air like smoke, thin, desperate, impossible to believe. Daniel sat there, eyes glassy, face drained, and I felt something strange stir inside me. Not pity, not forgiveness, just exhaustion. The kind that seeps into your bones after too many sleepless nights, too many excuses swallowed whole. Love, I repeated quietly. You don't get to use that word right now. He flinched. His mouth opened, but I kept speaking. When you love someone, you don't humiliate them. You don't come home from a bed and kiss your wife goodnight. The candles flickered between us, tiny flames dancing on the edge of dying. The air smelled like wine and burnt sugar, too sweet, almost nauseating. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. It was a kind of calm that comes after a storm, when destruction feels like clarity. I made one mistake, he said finally, his voice breaking. It didn't mean anything, Sarah. It's over. It's been over for weeks. I stared at him. Then why does she still wear my necklace? That silenced him completely. For a moment, the only sound was the soft tick of the clock and the faint hum of the refrigerator, the same soundtrack that had played the day I found that damned lipstick mark. The room that had once been a home now felt like a stage after the play had ended, props still standing, audience gone. He rose suddenly, pacing. You don't understand. She was just fun. I interrupted. Exciting? Someone who didn't know you left your socks on the floor and forgot to pay bills on time. He stopped pacing, jaw clenched. You're twisting this. I laughed bitterly. I'm living this. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bleeding into guilt. You and I, we got comfortable. Everything was routine. She made me feel like I still mattered. I stared at him, each word driving deeper than the last. So you destroyed me to feel important. He looked at me with eyes full of helplessness, but I saw no love there, only fear of losing what he'd taken for granted. I wanted to scream, to throw the wine glass, to make him hurt even half as much as I did. But the rage froze in my throat. All that came out was a whisper. I used to defend you, Daniel. When people said men like you couldn't stay faithful, I swore they didn't know you. I told them you were kind, loyal, my safe place. His lip trembled, but I didn't stop. I thought we were the exception. I said, tears spilling now, unstoppable. Turns out we were the rule. The next morning, I didn't wait for him to leave for work. I woke before dawn, the world outside still gray and quiet, and I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he'd lied to me over candlelight, and wrote a note. Not long, not angry, just the truth. You broke something that can't be mended with apologies. I hope she makes you feel important. Don't come looking for me. I folded it neatly and placed it beside his untouched coffee mug, the same mug where I'd first seen the lipstick stain. I almost smiled at the symmetry of it. By the time he came downstairs, suitcase in hand, I was gone. For 3 days, I stayed with my sister in another part of the city. She didn't ask for details. The dark circles under my eyes told her enough. I told her I needed air, space, quiet. But silence is a way of amplifying what you're trying to escape. Every sound, a car door, a phone notification, footsteps outside the door, felt like a reminder of him, of her. By the 4th day, I made a decision. I needed to see her, not to scream, not to fight, just to look her in the eye and understand what kind of person laughs at another woman, then steals her husband. Amber's office was easy to find. A sleek glass building, all polished chrome and mirrored walls. She was alone when I walked in, typing something quickly, a Bluetooth headset pressed to her ear. When she looked up and saw me, her expression flickered. surprise, then discomfort. "Sarah," she said cautiously, slipping off the headset. "Wow, this is unexpected." I smiled faintly. "I bet it is." She stood, smoothing her skirt, already on guard. "If you're here to make a scene, I'd rather not." "I'm not," I interrupted quietly. "I don't need a scene. I just need a moment." Something in my tone must have unnerved her, because she sat back down. "Fine," she said tightly. "Say what you need to say." I looked at her for a long time. She was beautiful, effortlessly so. But there was a hardness around her eyes I hadn't noticed before, a brittleness that no makeup could hide. "Why him?" I asked finally. She blinked, thrown off. "Excuse me." "Why Daniel?" I repeated. "You could have had anyone. Why the married man who had dinner with his wife every night?" She exhaled, annoyed. "It wasn't supposed to happen. We were working late. One thing led to another. It wasn't serious." I nodded slowly. "You mock women like me at parties. Amber, you called me pathetic once. You laughed at my dress." Her cheeks flushed. "That was years ago. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did," I said softly. "And that's what makes it so much worse. You didn't take him because you loved him. You took him because you could." She didn't respond. Maybe she didn't know how. I stepped closer. "Do you know what he told me last night? That it didn't mean anything. That you made him feel important." Her eyes flickered, just for a moment, with something that looked like hurt. "Then I guess we both lost," she whispered. I looked at her one last time, this woman who had taken so much and now seemed smaller than I'd ever imagined, and turned to leave. At the door, I paused. "Keep the necklace," I said. "It suits you better than honesty ever did." Outside, the sky was beginning to rain, soft, hesitant drops against the pavement. I walked without direction, without umbrella, letting it soak through my clothes, my hair, my grief. It felt cleansing somehow, as though the world was washing him from my skin. That night, I checked into a small inn by the coast. The sea roared against the cliffs below, wild and indifferent. I sat by the window, watching waves collide in the darkness, and thought about everything I had lost, and everything I might still reclaim. It wasn't peace yet, but it was the beginning of it. A week later, Daniel showed up at the inn. I wasn't surprised. I'd left enough breadcrumbs. He stood in the doorway, drenched from the storm, eyes red, jaw tight. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, he said, "I ended it. With her." I nodded. "Good." He stepped closer. "Sarah, I can't fix what I did. I know that. But please, don't end us. I'll do anything." I looked at him, really looked. The man I'd once loved with every fiber of my being stood before me like a stranger wearing his face. He was shaking, desperate, but there was no space left in me for sympathy. "I think," I said quietly, "you ended us the moment you chose her." Tears welled in his eyes. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I corrected. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A choice is sleeping with someone who mocked your wife and then lying about it for months." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "I wanted to believe love could survive anything," I said. "But maybe survival isn't the same as living." He stared at me, broken. "So that's it." I smiled sadly. "That's it." He left without another word. I watched him go until he was nothing more than a shadow swallowed by the rain. That night, I wrote in my journal for the first time in months. The words came haltingly at first, then faster, spilling out like confession. I thought betrayal would feel like a wound, sharp and sudden, but it's more like drowning. You don't realize how deep you've gone until your feet can't find the ground anymore. And yet, when you finally surface, the air tastes cleaner than you remember. I closed the notebook, exhaled slowly, and listened to the sea beyond the window, fierce, endless, untamed. Somewhere out there, the tide was pulling everything away. The lipstick, the laughter, the lies. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't chase after it.